Hello everybody! In this webinar, I would like to present how it is possible to evaluate the protection against the charring of timber members offered by the cavity insulation. It is possible to improve the load-bearing capacities of timber frame assemblies exposed to fire by limiting the charring of structural timber members. During a fire, a primary protection against the charring is given by the cladding. Some insulation products play an important role in limiting the charring of timber members, particularly after the cladding has fallen off. The load-bearing capacities of timber frame assemblies exposed to fire can be evaluated by means of simplified design model. In the European standard, the current situation regarding timber frame assemblies and contribution provided by cavity insulation to the load-bearing capacity is the following. The Annex C of the Eurocode 5 Part 1.2 includes a simplified design model that takes into account the protection against the charring provided by stone wool cavity insulation. The same design model can be extended to cavity filled by glass wool, only as long as the cladding is in place. The European Guideline Fire Safety in Timber Building include a simplified design model which takes into account the protection provided by glass wool insulation also after the cladding has fallen off. So there are two design models which clearly distinguish the different protection provided by stone wool and glass wool, and there are no other information about the protection provided by other form of cavity insulation. In the next revision of the Eurocode 5 Part 1.2, a qualification methodology for insulation product will be introduced. This qualification methodology can distinguish different cavity insulation products according to the protective performance provided against the charring of timber members. The existing simplified design model for the load-bearing capacity will be revised. Annex D of next Eurocode 5 will allow to determine the protective performance provided by any type of cavity insulation product by performing an ad hoc fire-resistant test. The test setup is a portion of floor with an investigator timber member placed in the center. The selected insulation product to investigate has to be inserted on the side of the central timber member. Specimen has to be exposed to 60 minutes of standard fire test. The fire side of the specimen is covered by the gypsum plasterboard type F as cladding, and the fall-off of the cladding has to be exposed after 45 minutes. In this test, it is measured the start of charring as position of 300 degrees isotherm at 100 mm on the side of the timber member, so on the wood insulation interface. The 100 mm of charring depth on the side of the timber member is taken as a parameter to clearly distinguish the different protection against the charring provided by different groups of cavity insulation. The Annex D of the new Eurocode 5 recognizes three different protection levels for the cavity insulation, assigned according to the time at which a charring depth of 100 mm is reached on the side of the timber member. Protection level 1, the stronger protection level, is when we do not have 100 mm of charring after 60 minutes of fire test. This is the case of some mineral wool product. Protection level 2, if we have 100 mm of charring only after that the cladding has fallen off, before 60 minutes. Case of other mineral wool product and cellulose fiber insulation. Protection level 3, when we have 100 mm of charring already before the fall-off of the cladding. This is the case of EPS. The protection level influences the way on which it is considered the charring into the design model, if it is only from the fire exposed side, so one side, or also from the lateral side, three sides. In the revised design model introduced by the new Eurocode 5, it is taking into account the charring from the fire exposed side, but charring from the lateral side can also be considered depending on the protection level of the cavity insulation. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, do not hesitate to contact us.